Welcome. You're at Reef Review Time with Imperial. Let's get into it. So tonight's review will be Black and Blue, 2019 film starring Naomi Harris and Tyrese Gibson. Naomi Harris plays Alicia West, and Tyrese Gibson plays Milo Jackson, aka Mouse. This movie was filmed in New Orleans, and the setting of the film is basically after the effects of Katrina. The city of New Orleans, certain parts never really recovered, and people still live in these areas under certain conditions. And you have cops who do what cops do. If they see a suspect and they black, they pull them over. Not all cops, but a lot of cops pull them over and harass. So the movie pretty much starts off with her doing her morning jog, and she gets pulled over and harassed. And then they pulled her badge off of her and found out that she's one of them. And then she had a stare down with one of the cops, and one of the other cop apologized, and they was like, "You must be new." So the next scene is pretty much she goes on with her partner, and they go out for the day. She got her chest cam on, and they end up at this neighborhood food store where she goes in, and she's from the neighborhood. She was raised in that neighborhood, and she sees a kid that she's just want to be friendly. But in the neighborhood, they don't really like the police, so they standoffish, and they look down at the cops, So she sees somebody she knows she grew up with, and they have some back and forth. And this girl name is Missy, and that's Nafisa Williams that plays on Black Lightning, that comes on the CW channel. So when she goes into the store, she sees Milo, aka Mouse, which is played by Tyrese, and she sees him in the store, and she's a cop, and she pretty much he's he's looking at her funny, and he works at the store in the morning. So there was a robbery at the store, and they pretty much saying, "Hey, we called y'all a couple of days ago," and the cops pretty much come in there and get donuts and some coffee and stuff like that, and they don't pay, they just leave. So she paid and left a tip there. So then she got into it with the girl that she grew up with, and she was like, "You don't remember me?" And the girl was like, "No, I don't remember. You got me mistaken." But you could tell she really knew who it was. But then the goons she was with pretty much like stared down the cop like, "You got a problem?" Then he came out, her partner came out like, so they backed off. But nevertheless, their shift pretty much ended right there. And her partner, he had a premeditated date with his wife and family. So he's a family man. But then he was scheduled to do a double. So she said, "Basically, I'll take your shift for you." And so then she went on and she met with like one of the head like vet cops. And they pretty much doing their thing, and they go and break up a fight, and one of the guys had a gun, and she was telling the cops stand down, he was too aggressive. But come to find out, he had a gun the whole time, and he could have popped her with it. And so she's, fighting between being a fair cop and trying to change the stigma of, cops being a-holes and not for the people, and trying to change that narrative. So she's fighting in between that. And so she apologized to the cop, and while they was at the diner taking a break, she apologized, and he pretty much said, you gonna have to choose on what side you on. Are you on our side or the other side? And so he got a phone call on his personal phone like, "Yo, you need to meet somewhere." So he drove her to the spot. Now you see this part in the trailers. So while he told her stay in the car, and she was, before they left the precinct, she told him like, you should have your body cam on, and you know pretty soon we all gonna be wearing them anyway. And he was like, as long as you don't point it at me or whatever. So he goes in the building and just told her stay in the car. And then when she seen somebody Gary break in the car, and when she see them Gary break in the car, she gets out to, hey, what you doing? And the person ran off. But in the course of doing that, she heard 2 gunshots. So that's what triggered her to go in the building. And of course, you already seen in the trailers, she catches everything on. They shoot her, she fall off. And then after that, the whole movie becomes a cat and mouse. They're chasing her the whole movie. She goes back to the store where Milo was, asks for his help. She hides in the store, and so she's running through all different things. So what happened was, the big time drug dealer in the neighborhood name is Darius, and that's played by what's my man that played Baldhead. His name is Mike Coulter. He's superhero, and Cage or whatever. So Cage. So Luke Cage or whatever. So not Luke Cage, Luke's son. Y'all know who I'm talking about. I can't remember my head drawing a blank right now. So played by him, he shows up to the cops and stuff. So him and the cops, they do business. They let him. They know he run the neighborhood, so they don't really harp him too much. But it's his nephew who the cop killed on footage, and the cop told him that the girl rookie cop, and she was fidgety and she killed your nephew. So the APB was put out in the hood that she killed his nephew, whose name is Zero. And so now she got the dirty cops after her in the hood. And the police already been on their investigation, so the dirty cops is trying to clean up their mess. So of course, like I said, it's cat and mouse, the whole thing. And you're left to find out how she's gonna get this footage back to the precinct. So eventually they picked up Milo. The hood picked up Milo. Darius beat him up, trying to make him snitch and say where she was at. He wouldn't tell her. She hid the body cam in this old church, and her gun there too. And so in the beginning of the movie, when she was with her partner, it was a certain area that they said that they never went in. Only way they would go in is if one of their own was in there. So she went in that area, and that's where Darius was. And of course, he picked her up, smacked her around a little bit, and she told him, "I didn't kill your nephew. Really, the cop did." And the footage is on there. So one of his sons or nephews was like, kind of like a geek into break hacking stuff or whatever. So they got her the footage, and he hacked it, and they got to see the footage. By that time, the police knew she was there, and they stormed the castle. So the whole cavalry came in, and so, but he got to see the footage before the cavalry came in. So the hood was fighting the cops, and they had a big shootout, and then Tyrese told her, like, "You're gonna have to trust me. They looking for a female cop," and he said, "Give it to me. I'll make sure it get there." So he like, "You gotta tell me what to do when I do get there." So he put on a cop uniform, snuck into the precinct, and uploaded the film to everywhere, and it went to the police chief, and she got to see it, and she told everybody stand down or whatever. So that's pretty much the movie in a nutshell. There's some little parts that I left out, so I ain't tell you. I think I told you enough as is. Overall, decent film. Fast paced, a lot of action. It keeps you in tune, so you don't mind the film. It keeps you in tune. And my 4-star rating system. It's a decent film. It's a decent watch. I would go between 2.5 to 3 stars. 2.5 to 3 stars. I go with the 3 stars. It was a decent film. For, you know what I'm saying, exactly for the, you know. It was a decent film. I enjoyed watching it or whatever. There's no post-credit scene. So, like I said, depending on who watched it, they give you 2 to 2.5 to 3. You know, I teeter kind of on the 3 side or whatever, because I did enjoy it. So other than that, subscribe to the channel, help the channel grow, like the video to move the video around, share the video, comment. Till next time.